Come on. Yeah, that's it. This is class number 15 or 16. We are in doubt here. So, we talked a lot about techniques, previous classes, and now we're going to return to concepts. So we saw all the concepts that we call concepts that help you to improve relationships with others, right? With people, with the world, with whatever. So improving relationship management. And now the next concepts. They're going to be concepts for you, for your own, for you with yourself. And when we observe and we apply the next concepts that I'm going to teach you, they make it easier to comply with the first ones. Is it clear? So the next ones are going to make easier for you to comply, to apply, to use all the previous ones. And the first one that we are going to see today is called Sauchan. Sauchan. Right? Sauchan. And Sauchan, what does this mean? Sauchan is the concept of cleansing. So the main understanding of cleansing is the external cleansing of your body. So you take shower, you observe this, and of course, this is basic, right? But just for us to understand the big picture of what is Sauchan at all. The next stage of Sauchan is the internal cleansing. So when you do, for example, kriyas, what you're doing, you're cleaning internally your body. So you're cleaning the internal mucosas, right? This regular people, common people, they don't do. You you're practicing our method, you started doing this with abdominal contractions, with the neti that you did in our trip, with Kapalabhati, that is the other technique that you exhale very fast, very strong to clean the breathing streams. So we have a couple of techniques to clean internally your body, not just externally, right? So this is part of Sauchan. And it's also part of Sauchan what you eat. We were talking before this class, I was talking to Shanti, and we were talking about eating healthy, right? So how many people really learn how to eat healthy? I don't know, probably few people. Few people have this knowledge. But this is important because we are what we eat. We are what we feel. We are what we think. And ultimately, we are what we do. So, for all the concepts we are studying so far and the next ones, it's all about this. It's all about what do you think, what do you feel, what do you do, and now what do you eat? It's what you are, actually. It's how you build what you are. If you want to improve yourself, you will need to improve what you're constantly feeling, right? You're constantly thinking and what you're constantly eating. If you just eat crap food, your body is going to be built upon what? Crappy things. If you just think about bad things, pessimistic thinking, your mind is going to be built about this. And if you just feel heavy, dense feelings, your emotional aspect is going to be built about this too. So Sauchen, the understanding of Sauchen goes in this level. Not just what you eat, but what you think, what you feel. You need to clean this, you need to observe this, you need to do a lot of self-study about this. And self-study, it's another concept that we're going to study in a few classes forward. So far, so good? All right. But we can take the concept of Sauchen to even more and more levels. For example, we have this place. It needs to be clean. It needs to be organized. It needs to be structured. The place you work, but also the place you live. This is another level, another stage of Sauchen. So from now on, observe this. If you're the place of work, is it clean? Is it organized or not? In your house, in your room, in your computer things, in your bookshelves, in your papers, are they organized? If they are not organized, probably your mind is not organized. It's a mess. And if here it's a mess, probably the probability that your life is going to be a mess is big too. So, and if it's a mess, you're going to have more relationship problems. You're going to have more, you're not going to observe, for example, ahimsa, that's a non-violence, right? Or the satya, not lying. Because if it's all a mess, all a confusion, you're going to have relationship problems. So observing Sauchen in every aspect will help you comply with all the other concepts. Is it getting more understandable how this next concepts, they are going to connect with the previous ones? Another thing, if the person uses drugs, for example, the person may get more violent. The person may lie more, may steal things, because the person is not in her best mind. The consciousness is not good. So Sauchen is all about, it's also about keeping a healthy mind. Because you have a healthy mind because of what you use, what you eat, if you do drugs. So your mind's going to get confused and you're going to probably do a lot of mistakes. And some mistakes may produce a heavy karma, a heavy reaction back. So when we understand this whole picture that I'm creating and explaining and describing here, you understand how things work, how lives work, how your life works. It's not that difficult to foresee what's going to happen next. It's not. If you observe every aspect, it's going to be relatively easy to understand what's going next, what's going to happen next. But the problem is that we just see what's going on right now. We don't connect the dots from the past to what's happening now and into what's going to happen next. And when I say next, not just next days, next month, next year, next 10 years. What are going to be the reaction that you are going to have in your life? Are they going to be good? Are they going to be bad? Or whatever. So the best you apply the concepts, the better is going to be your life. Simple as that. Well, let's take Salchan to a third level. Let's take Salchan to a third level. And this level is all about life structuring, business structuring, and planning. And the bigger the step you want to take, the more observation of Salchan you need to have. And this is hard because when you're reaching the next level in your life, probably you're not complying with Salchan anymore. Because what you have been doing so far, maybe it's not enough for the next step. Maybe. Let me explain. I'm going to give some simple examples and then more complex examples, okay? So let's say you are going to Missouri, you're going to St. Louis. Okay, very good. You're going on vacation, you want to have fun, you want to enjoy. Nice, perfect. But you didn't plan very well. So you're leaving home 1 hour and a half before the plane is taking off because you didn't plan well. And there's a friend that is going to be with you. So, what's going to happen next? Probably you are going to lose the plane. Probably you're going to create a problem with your friend. Probably this is going to damage your trip. And probably you're going to try to blame someone else because of your mistake. I'm in airports a lot. I travel a lot. And every time I'm in the line to do the check-in or to drop the baggage, the luggage, and there is somebody that arrives late and starts shouting, start arguing, start doing a lot of mess. But 99% of times, who should be blamed for the problem is the person itself, not the company, not the worker that is there trying to help you. So, because of not the observation of Salchan, organization, planning ahead, the person, okay, the first problem. Then the second, that is a reaction from the first one, that is having relationship problems. So not complying with the ahimsa, non-violence, because the person starts being very aggressive to others without any reason. Or, no, but I have my reason. I'm going to lose my plan. Okay, selfish behavior. You think you are the center of the universe, and the universe and the life and the airplane and the company and the line and all the population in the world, they exist to serve you. This is what we are doing when we don't plan things correctly, and then we need to blame somebody else or a lot of people. And this is the common behavior. I'm not explaining and describing here something weird that never happens, that nobody does. Actually, this is what people usually do. So, yeah, another thing, the person doesn't observe well the menu and ask an order for not the dish the person wanted. She did the mistake. But then when sometimes it's not, but sometimes it is. And when the dish comes, it's wrong. And you start blaming the waiter. Oh, come on. You asked it wrong. Assume it. But sometimes it's not, okay. But sometimes it is. So, not having the mind in some place, not having the mind clear with clarity enough, the emotional low, not agitated, in a good state, planning ahead, organize it, and so on and so on and so on, will make your life easier. So after I learned this, I never get close to the time of the departure of a plane anymore in an airport. I always arrive 1 hour earlier than usual, that people usually do. Because if I have one situation in the way that it's not expected, like a crash, an accident, or a work in the middle of the street, something I didn't expect, okay, I have plenty of time. I don't get irritated, I don't get nervous. I'm okay, I don't get like anxious. So the probability of having problems with other people is very, very low. This is for catching airplanes, but it can be for driving a car, to arriving to an appointment, to you're going to close a huge deal for your company and you arrive late and the person leaves. Wow. You can lose opportunities, you can lose a lot of things. Or, okay, you arrive on time, but you didn't prepare yourself accordingly. You didn't. So there was no planning, there was no organization, there was no structuring. And then you're going to blame somebody else. So this is what people usually do. People do a lot of mistakes and then they try to see, who am I going to blame? When you start observing this kind of stuff, your life gets much easier. Okay. Then let's try to understand much more complex situations. You are an entrepreneur. You have your company. And your company, well, first thing, what's the mortality of companies? It's huge, right? How much percent of companies close their doors in 3 years, in 5 years? 5 years, I think mortality of companies is like 90%. And why is that? Well, because of a lot of reasons. And yesterday I was talking with Rick about this for a lot of reasons. And one of the reasons is that people don't prepare enough, don't plan enough. So they get caught in the middle of situations, of problems they didn't foresee. And they may say, okay, but I didn't know. Okay, that's correct, but you should. I didn't know, but you should. You should go and study, look for more things, look for more information, ask people, ask for help, and that's all, that's all, that's all. So, um, this is really, really important for entrepreneurs, for example. And as the company grows, we reach new levels, and new levels demand new preparation, new planning. And the more you grow, the more levels you reach, the more complex it gets, and the more dangerous it gets. But I'm not saying this for us to fear it, not for this, but to prepare. And so we don't fail for small things, for things that we could foresee easily if we observe the concept of Socha. So imagine one simple concept of cleansing body, mind, emotions can be so broad. The reach of it can be so broad. And if we apply this to our lives, life definitely gets much more easier, right? Much more easier. Any doubts, any comments, any?
It's just giving me things to think about. With the youth arts program, I took almost a year to plan the different concepts, different parts of it, and talking to a lot of people, and just a lot of preparation to this day. I think I didn't know about this concept before, but I see the importance of preparation to go to one level of growth in your company.
Mm-hmm.
It helps to build a solid foundation and keep going, and you go further with a proper planning, with foresight, and just.
And if this project of yours it keeps growing, new levels you're going to reach, so new challenges you're going to face. So you need to prepare to these new levels, not fearing it, but just preparing it, preparing for it, right? And this is really, really important. So things continue to be enjoyable, pleasant. Otherwise, what was before pleasant, it's not anymore. Because you have so much stress with that, so much trouble with that, that where is the funny of doing this? Where is the motivation for doing this anymore? You don't have anymore because it's so much trouble. But the only, it's a heavy word, but strong word, the only guilt for it, it's ourselves. This is the truth. So if we don't like a, what's going on in some projects, in a company or whatever, wow, try to look back and you're going to understand why you have this problem right now. And so you need to understand what you need to solve it, because maybe it's the arrow that you released from the arch. You were with this, yeah, with a bow and an arrow, and you just released the arrow. So the karma is there. Now you need to clean up everything, all the mess you did. And now, after you clean up, avoid doing the same kind of problem again, right? So this is extremely important to reduce stress in life, to reduce the probability of stress. And I learned a lot about this concept by the hard way, without a lot of things. I learned the hard way. And I'm a very planned person, but nobody taught me that when you change levels, you need to double, triple the efforts you're doing and the cares and whatever. So I have been learning the hard way, the hard way. So, and it takes a lot of effort to clean up everything and to solve issues and to, okay, now it's clean. Now let's move to the next level. But it can be with less effort, not effortless, but less effort, less heavy, avoidable work. See, this is very, very important, very important. And sometimes some of these issues, they make you get bankruptcy.
Yeah.
You may close your business.
How did, I mean, just talking to DeRose, like how did he navigate the expansion from having some students in teaching to now he's international. Now he has schools all over the world. How did he deal with that?
Yeah.
I mean, just confiding in him, like talking to you about
Yeah.
how to keep it.
Most of a great part of what I now understand and apply about this level of Sauchen, I learned with him, and he teaches us telling the stories of failure he went through. So not just failure, but now he's much more prepared for a lot of stuff, So when you grow too much, like he did in the whole world, in a huge network, well, a lot of the lights are on you. So if you do a small mistake, and we can all do mistakes, well, people can get that small mistake and create a bomb. And so has been learning a lot about this. So one of the things is having a strong and handful network by your side. So when you need, because somebody's attacking you, you have this bodyguards on your side to help you go through. So I don't know if he has this. It's more than friends. It's like a partnership. They're partners. Like, I don't know, the army, the police, the navy, and they see him as a great person, a good guy that helps the young people and adults to have better lives and to stay away of drugs and so on and so on and so on. A lot of social work. Okay, so I trust you. So when he needs, they help. They help, of course. Everything through justice, through the legal system, but he can count on them. So this was one of his learnings about getting huge, getting really huge business. Because the issues, the challenges, the problems are huge too. So you need to have this strong partners by your side that they can count on you and you can count on them. This is one of the teachings he teaches us about it. And trying to have plan A, plan B, plan C. So if one fails, you have the other one, you have the other one. Have audits to your company, so you may be committing some mistake and you don't know. But if you hire an audit company, they get there, oh, you're doing this wrong. Oh, I didn't know. Okay, so correct it before it's too late. And this happens a lot. And if you see large corporations, they hire this kind of services, third-party services. But when you are building your own company, you don't have the experience yet. So this is a very important thing for entrepreneurs. Very important thing. Because it can be a non-profit or profit. The risks are basically the same. Basically the same. So the understanding of this concept is really powerful for our lives. You avoid a lot of problems. You can avoid a lot of problems. I could have avoided a lot of problems if I knew all these things before. If I knew. And now I try to alert and teach people so that they don't get into the same mistakes, right?
Having on my advisory board, I lean on them to give me like honest feedback, and they've been doing a great job. They've been just like, no, that's not right. I know this work. I work with kids all the time. You should do it this way, and I'm open. I really don't know it all.
Yeah.
So, but it's very humbling.
Yeah.
To accept that you don't know it all, and you get advice from other people.
Yeah.
To make sure that you don't make the big mistakes. You
Yeah.
can make some, but not that big.
That big one, yeah. That's it. So this concept is a very interesting one. Okay. So next one. Let's talk about Santosha. Let me write here. Santosha. Santosha. Okay. What is Santosha actually? Santosha is contentment. Contentment. I have a lot of stories about contentment. So I'm going to tell a story so you can understand deeply what is contentment. In one moment, I already had my IT company in my hometown, and I had a Rose school in São Paulo. And they were doing very well, so I had like 3 days in the week free, and because of the business were doing very well. So I had 3 days free in the week. And I started getting bored about having 3 days free in the week. So, and I was young, very young, and still young, but I was younger, a lot of energy, and I thought, oh no, too young to have 3 days free in a week. So let's get some trouble. And I bought 2 rural schools in the South Brazil at once. It was a big step, a huge step actually, going from 2 companies to 4. And the other 2 companies, they were 3 to 400 miles away from São Paulo, driving. So hard work. Okay, but I faced the risk and the challenge, and let's go. 2 years later, I had a big problem because the challenge was too much at once from 2 to 4 companies. I was getting very stressed, very tired, and losing a lot of money because these new 2 businesses, they needed a lot of work because they were facing, when I bought them, they were facing financial issues, problems. They were not profitable. So I needed to put a lot of effort. And when I did this, I started suffering my first two initial businesses. So this whole situation got me in a mess. So the Sauchan was dead. Sauchan was dead. I couldn't apply Sauchan anymore because it was a mess. And I started losing a lot of money in these 2 years. And one day I was a little bit sad about that situation. I need to find a solution. And then I remembered about contentment. Okay, I need to apply contentment, but okay. And I started driving home from Curitiba to São Paulo. It's a 6-hour driving alone, so with my own thoughts. And then I started changing how I was seeing and observing the situation, because I was feeling like, okay, I did this mistake and I'm suffering the consequences. But then I started trying to think differently, like, okay, what if all this 2 years experience were just an investment in a course that taught me a lot of lessons. And now these lessons, I could transform this in a course and in a coaching program that I can teach people how to be more successful in their own businesses by applying the techniques and the concepts of our method. And then it was born one of my most successful courses. That was the high performance course, high performance method course. And when I reached home that day, I recorded the whole course in my phone, in my smartphone, because I was driving and just put the recording here and started talking to my phone and recording the whole program of the course. So when I reached home, I had this full weekend program course ready. And I got very excited. So this, and it was very, very predictive, this course. And I recovered all the money I spent in these 2 years by giving this course. And not just in Brazil, but worldwide. I give this course in a lot of countries. So imagine, from a problem, a big problem, I transformed it in a solution, in an asset, in a strength. And this is contentment. It's not pretending you didn't have a problem. This is not contentment. Pretending not that you didn't face a problem. Not contentment. Contentment is, okay, I went through this hard and difficult situation. Okay, it happened. Nothing will change this because it already happened. Now I can look to these things and try to learn something, or I can keep complaining my whole life and thinking how miserable I am. So this is your choice. You have this choice all the moments. You have this choice your entire life by seeing challenges, facing problems as just problems and getting miserable with it, or you can turn them, transform them in something good, something useful. The biggest opportunities are exactly when you can transform your own issues, your own problems and solutions. And I can say that every time I got a new level of accomplishments in my life was exactly when I took a problem and I could transform this problem in solution. These were the moments that I reached the next level. Every single time. But if you feel sorry, feel pity of yourself too much, you will lose the opportunity because you will prefer to suffer, to feel miserable instead of growing and learning with the previous errors and mistakes and doing it better, right? And even amazing entrepreneurs, innovations, they were based in failures from traditional system. So, for example, traditional taxi driving was terrible. Was terrible. So somebody saw an opportunity in this and they created Uber. And a lot of other companies created similar companies. But it was look into a problem and seeing over it, through it. And this same thing, the same concept can be applied to our lives. So when you're facing a huge problem, stop and try to think, how do you spin that and transform that in the next level? Every single time you can do that. You just need to stop and think about that through a different angle. And if you don't have, if you're not too creative, try to share this with other people. So maybe another person can easily see what you're not seeing, your blind spot. This is actually, it's a blind spot. It's an amazing opportunity. So, how I created my most successful course was based in one of my biggest failures. Crazy. Very crazy. And this is all about Santosha. Another aspect of Santosha. We always share moments of personal life or professional life. We can focus on people's worst problems, worst behaviors. We can focus and dramatize that. Or we can choose to focus in what each people is good. The strong points. It's a decision. So I can have contentment about it or not. There is a very interesting book. It's like a bestseller, but I think just in Brazil. It's a very small book, but the history is basic this. The guy was a psychiatrist, and he was seeing a lot of people, and he was deciding who was crazy and who was not, right? At some point, he realized that everybody was crazy. So he started putting more people and more people and more people in this psychiatrist hospital. More and more and more and more and more people. Then, at some point, he thought, no, none of them are crazy. If I see them through this angle. So he took everybody out again from the hospital. And then he realized that the only crazy one, it was him. So he put himself into the hospital. But it's a very interesting story because it shows that reality, it's what we how we face it. It's the perspective, it's the angle we choose to see. So what was the reality when I had this problem, financial problem buying two companies in South Brazil? Well, I could face the reality by the really bad side and focus on it and really suffer with it. Instead, I chose not to do this. It was a struggle. I struggled to find a better view, a better angle of the same thing. And I have done this a couple of times. So usually, and now when I do consultation for entrepreneurs or companies, I always ask them what are their worst problems. What's your worst problem? And they say, and I say, here is, here lies the biggest opportunity. You need to understand how do you spin this and transform this in your biggest strength. And some of them, they don't trust this. They think this is bullshit. They think, you're just telling me this because you want to make me feel better. But I say, okay, it's up to you. You can pick the most creative people from your company and put them to think about this issue to transform this in your solution. Not just to solve this problem, but to create a business, to create an opportunity. And this we can apply to our lives as well. It can be applied to life, it can be applied to anything, right? And there are a lot of great movies that that shows us contentment. Contentment. So you can extract contentment from any situation, but let's think with moderation. Don't be acomodado. Acomodado, how do I say? Accommodated. Yeah. Don't get accommodated. Just saying, okay, this is how thing is. I don't need to do anything. Let's try to see the good side of things. So, as a reason for you not improve yourself, for you not improve your life, for you not improve your company, by hiding behind contentment. So this is the moderation element for this concept. All the concepts, we can't be radical. We need to think the extreme. Almost never the extreme points. They are not good. So don't hide behind contentment so you don't need to improve anything in your life anymore. Right? This a small care we need to have. Comments about Santosha, or if you remember a situation that it's shareable, that maybe a little bit of Santosha could bring some good stuff.
One good right now, like the other day, my boss is giving me more oversight of operations. Scared. And that's the first reaction is like fear, but also I feel it's a lot to take on. Given them trying to grow my own business and to have to do business operations, meaning facilities, expanding our office location, to support semi offices and actually go and make sure that I assess the needs. I'm going to do something to do that now. And my financial team has grown. We've hired 2 people, so I'm training them. So it's a lot, but it's a good thing. I'm trying to find the opportunity, like, the good side.
Exactly this.
I'm doing this right now, like literally, one of the last night I was working and trying to like, what's the good in all of this work? And
What?
like, how do I make this, like, what is the opportunity here for me to take myself to the next level? I'm right in the middle of.
Right in the middle of such a thing.
Yeah.
Well, I would start thinking, why am I afraid of it?
I mean, failure, like not doing a good job, like, I don't know.
But failure in what exactly? Try not to be abstract. Try to get concrete. So okay, I'm afraid of what? Failure. In what?
In what I don't know. In stuff in the areas of facility management, I don't know facility.
Okay, so you need to write down facilities management. What more? Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Increase people, like the relationships that I don't, with people that I've never worked with.
Okay, so relationship with people that I have never worked with.
Um, and other parts of the budget that I haven't dealt with. Now I'm going to be responsible or accountable to that stuff. So
To the budget?
more areas of the budget that I was never.
Okay, so more areas of budget.
Yeah.
Okay, 3 items. Now you're gonna pick the first one. How you solve this one? What's the path? What's the solution for it? And so you get the previous problem and you're going to create a new strength in your life, in your professional background. And some of these things, maybe you already have the answer. So, for example, you said, okay, I don't know how to manage people that I don't have relationship yet. Whoa, you're doing a course for that. Okay, so you are learning how to apply, improving, building good relationships with people, any sort of people, and try to see what they have of good within them and what's not good in them. So you isolate the problems. You don't put the person facing what they're not good. You put them to face what they are good in. This is one basic way of dealing with people that you're still learning. But it's a learning process. You need to learn what are their strengths and their weaknesses. So you see how you transform in a practical approach, problems and solutions. This is a great example. Great example. So you're going to transform fear in action, fear in outcomes, in results, and you're going to build new skills in yourself. So it's interesting. When we face our fears or we face the things that we don't like in our lives or some problems going on, we transform reality into something that we really appreciate and we really like, we really enjoy. So this is all the alchemy of life. So you have the opportunity to do alchemy in your life.
Just started.
Yeah.
It's official July 1st.
Wow. So, congratulations. And another thing that it's interesting is to understand, acknowledge why you were offered this opportunity, what you're doing well. It's interesting to understand this because you're going to understand your own evolution path. You're going to understand what are your strengths, and you can build on your strengths even more and make that a huge differential for you. So you see, depending on how we face things, we can face problems or we can face, oh, huge opportunity for personal development or professional development or both. And okay, there is this fear, but I'm going to rationally transform the fear into something else.
I think it's a good opportunity. It's just me figuring out how to navigate all that.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah. Write it down and very rational, very planning. Okay, oh, this I don't know. Facility, what do you say?
it's a facility. I already do facilities management.
Okay,
Assessment and
how can I know this better? Oh, assess somebody that knows this. Ask for help. Say, hey, I have this challenge. Can you help me? With some tips, with some books I can read, or some videos I can watch, or some business cases that I can study. Santosha. So now let's understand how Santosha can help you comply with the first set of concepts. How? Well, I could feel very bad about myself by the mistakes, quotes, mistakes I did. I could feel very bad about myself. So I could emotionally hurt myself not complying with ahimsa. Instead of that, I used santosha. So I complied with ahimsa. You see how things work? How they complement itself, their selves, the concepts. This is amazing when you understand the big picture and all the pieces of the puzzle and how they lock each other. Wow, this is extraordinary. This is really powerful, really amazing. So imagine you apply by organizing, by planning, Sauchan. What I was suggesting you is Sauchan.
yeah, exactly.
Then Sauchan is helping you to apply Santosha. And Santosha is helping you not fearing, because the fear is going to hurt you. Wow, amazing. And maybe the fear, by assuming, by getting this new challenge, fear may produce aggressive behaviors. So,
Feeling, it's not me, it's just when people do a change. So now the person that now reports to me, I see the fear in like them not understanding what's happening. So they're taking it out in an aggressive way. So my reaction is the opposite. I'm not going to feed their aggression. Figure out how to work around that.
work around.
Yeah.
How to make things clear
Yeah.
and transparent.
Exactly.
And they feel good. Well, we can't force anybody, but we can make things better and easier. Of course, some may not change their behavior because of that, but you did your part. And for those that didn't do, ignore. Just ignore. There is a sutra, very powerful sutra from Yoga Sutra of Patanjali. It says this, that how do we behave according to the behavior of people? So with good people, we should behave with happiness, with friendship. With bad people, we should behave with neutrality. Like you go to a distant, safe distance and you manage the situation by safe distance. You're not going to be close enough so the person can hurt you. But you don't need to face and start fighting with the person because it doesn't worth it. So you go to a safe distance. So when you start managing this, depending on who you are interacting with, its life becomes lighter instead of heavier. This is interesting. Very interesting, very good. All right. We didn't see yet Yoga Nidra, right? We have half an hour. I think it may be enough to go through Yoga Nidra. So maybe now we need to change this. Rick, we need to move because I'm going through Yoga Nidra. I'm going to use the chalkboard more now. Yeah, right in the middle. So we're going to talk about Yoga Nidra. Yoga Nidra. Yoga Nidra, it's not for you to sleep in the class. I know, this is new. Yeah, this is new, right? I know. You always thought this was the sleeping part of the practice, but it's not. This is a shocking news. This is shocking. But let's understand Nidra. Nidra is sleep. And the sleep of the yogin. This would be the translation. But we don't use the translation because people are going to be suggested to sleep in the practice, but it's not to sleep. So we don't translate. We just say relaxation techniques, right? All right. But relaxation is just small, tiny, simple effect of what Yoga Nidra really can do for you. Yoga Nidra goes very, very deep. So let's understand this first. Let's think that this is the line that divides your unconsciousness Is this correct? Unconsciousness.
Oh, it's
C-O-N. Like this? Unconsciousness. Okay. Too big word. Unconsciousness from your consciousness. So let's imagine this line. The Yoga Nidra technology is bringing you from this point to this specific point here, right between both sides. If you get here, you slip. So this is what we want. We want you to go to the limit, to the border. This is a training process. Because if you don't train enough, you may get here, you're too consciousness. Or maybe you can get here, you slip. So the technique is reaching this specific point here. And you have from here access to your unconsciousness. So this is first understanding here. You reach your unconsciousness consciously. And when you do this, you can do two things. When you do this, not here, and when you do this, you can do two things. One, it's program your success through mentalizations. The other possibility is reprogram emotions, behaviors, reprogram. So you can do both things. But you can do this it's more efficient when you achieve this. It's much more efficient. If you're sleeping, it will work because you're still listening, unconsciously listening. It's going to work, but it's not so efficient if you're still lucid and awake. You probably noticed that we always repeat the same sentence, the same statement. Stay lucid and awake during the entire exercise. So you can hear, filter, and assimilate just what you want. So stay lucid and awake. Here, it's an instruction. Do this. But the second part of the statement, so you can hear, filter, and assimilate. Why is that? Why is that? Why do you think is that?
If you're sleeping, you're not filtering it, you're not still aware.
Yeah, that's it. So this is a safety statement for us and for you. Tell me more about this. Some people, they are suggestible. They can get hypnotized. So, if I'm not ethical, I don't use the safety statement. And I may not use an ethical instruction, programming or reprogramming. So I can take money out of people. I can say, hey, relax, think of God, and think of people that you want to help. And through us, you can help people. And we always have great projects going on. And you can you can reach God and you can donate money. You're never so poor you can't donate at least something. And then you return from the yoga nidra. Not yoga nidra, right? Some crap reprogramming stuff or meditation, mindfulness. Not all of them, but some of them. We well, yeah, most of them they call meditation and they do this kind of things. And usually they are non-profit. Non-profit, but it's a profit stuff. So when you leave the room, coincidentally, there is this table with people with a big sign, hey, donations here. Wow, what a coincidence. Look, donation. I'm going to give money to this guy. These guys are awesome. The person is hypnotized to give money. This is one possibility. There are other possibilities that are business events. This I see a lot. Business events for entrepreneurs, for executives, for good people. And the guy say, hey, let's do here a relaxation first before my lecture. So close your eyes and relax. And then he starts again. And he's going to sell a course, he's going to sell a book, he's going to sell something in the end. But in the beginning, he already hypnotized part of the audience. This is totally unethical, but a lot of people do this. A lot of people do this. A lot of people are very suggestible. And when it's group, it becomes much more strong. I went in Brazil the end of last year in a big event. It was so disgusting. I couldn't watch even 30% of the event because 70% of it was totally hypnotizing people to sell stuff. And people doesn't know, they don't know what they're going through. It's totally manipulation. Total manipulation. And people doesn't observe because there are a lot of things that seems not to be manipulation, but it is. So we need to be aware of it. Lucid and awake, hearing to filter just what I want. So this is a safety rule for us. So if we mistakenly say something that we didn't intend to, okay, but at least I use the safe statement. And for those that are practicing, they are, okay, the first instruction is stay aware, stay awake. And if I say some bullshit, don't assimilate it, okay? This is the safe statement. So when we train to become a teacher, this is mandatory. If you're going through the exam and the candidate doesn't use, well, his grade is going to be much lower, and if he has some other mistake, he doesn't pass in the exam. So we observe this. We ask for this. Right? So now you know why we repeat this statement every single time. It's for a very important reason. All right. So this is Yoga Nidra. But there is something very, very important here. Very, very important here. Remember that we are in some prisons of behavior. we keep repeating a behavior, an attitude, a conditioning, a trigger makes you act in the same way, in the same pattern, and this repeats and repeats and repeats and repeats and repeats, and sometimes it's not good for you. And we are locked, we are stuck in a lot of prisons like this within our lives, within our own behavior. Because of this, I suggested you to watch that movie, Hound Dog Day. Groundhog Day. Yeah. Because of this, I suggested that movie because it shows exactly this. Behaviors that we are stuck in and we keep repeating a bad behavior and we don't understand, we don't see, we don't observe, we don't know that we're doing that. We're not aware of it. But when you start practicing, you start applying concepts, you start becoming more aware of yourself, of your life, you start, oh, look, this behavior I got. And I keep repeating the same stupid behavior my whole life. Why? So let me give you some examples. Very simple examples, okay? You may have tons of examples about yourself. So, a very simple one. Consciously, I don't know, you want to have success, financial success. Let's say, I want to earn a lot of money. Okay, consciously you want this. Very good. Unconsciously, in your brain, you would like to become rich just by earning the lottery and just living in the beach in the Bahamas and just the money falling from the sky. Oh, yes. This is how I'm going to live. Okay, so you have this part of your consciousness thinking this way. I want this. Very good. But this wants a different thing, wants a different direction. And this difference, these different impulses, these different choices, they create turbulence, internal turbulence, internal shocking waves within yourself. And these are instabilities of your consciousness. Things that hold you back from achieving what you really want and from lowering the instabilities. Remember that what's the intent of this course is moving from the conscious level of consciousness to the superconsciousness, from rational thinking to intuitional behaving. Okay, this is the intent of the course. Wow, so this is really powerful because this turbulence created by opposite waves of behavior creates this turbulence barrier that creates a lot of instabilities in your consciousness. A lot of instabilities. But imagine you may have hundreds of things like this. Hundreds. A lot of mess is going on in your own, right? Sometimes cartoons and movies, they explain this like this. You have God telling you from this side that this is the good thing to do. And the devil here saying for you to do the opposite thing. So this is a shock. This is just a figurative way of understanding something more scientific, more rational. So your job is to discover all these internal shocking waves that you have, internal shocking behaviors. And this internal conflicts. This is an internal conflict you have, and you suffer because of this. And you move slowly through life, heavier through life, with more difficulty because of this disparity. Is this understandable? Disparity. Yeah, sometimes I'm not sure if the word exists.
I know. There's certain words that I could translate across.
Yeah, I think, oh, I'm just directly translating, or this word really exists. Okay, so disparity, this difference. So it doesn't matter if you're going to pick this one or this one. You need to pick one. Usually what's here is better. Usually. So what do you need to do? You need to reprogram behavior. So you reprogram by using Yoga Nidra. Oh, now it's aligned, same direction. You eliminate this turbulence barrier. So you are one step closer to the superconscious. One step closer to meditation. And one step closer to an easier life, less complicated way of being and behaving. This is a very, very good way of explaining what we do. We train how to move through life in a less complicated way. How? By having a healthier body, by having better relationships, by having a better emotional aspect of yourself, by having more mental clarity, by not being complicated in your life. Living your life with more pleasant, with more enjoyable way. This is a way of understanding. So you will never more sleep in your Yoga Nidra after this explanation. I hope so.
And she noticed that something isn't flowing right. Like that's her approach. She said she kind of asked me questions, and I'm like, well, yeah, I can sleep, but I don't get a lot of sleep. So then she's like, well, do X, Y, Z, meaning take yourself from the conscious state to the unconscious state, but basically I'll reprogram myself to like be able to be unconscious to get enough sleep that I need to be able to be more effective.
Yeah.
When I need to be awake.
Yeah. So how do you create? Well, you can remember the instructions we do in the daily classes, the Yoga Nidra part. It's this. But you can create statements for yourself, for some challenges, for some issues you want to break, some conditionings you want to break, you want to align, because you noticed that you do this. Okay, so I have this thing that I need to fix. So you can create your own statement, your own instructions, and you can do it by your own at home or at work or whenever you want. But there are some tricks here for this to work. First, you need to relax first. First stage. Let me write here. Some cares you need to take. So first, relaxation, body relaxation. Body relaxation. Still awake, still lucid, body relaxation. Then, the reprogramming itself. Reprogramming. When you're building your text, your statement, your instructions, you need to use just affirmative, positive constructions. So you don't say, I don't want to be like this anymore. No. Your brain doesn't notice the word no. He ignores it. So when you say, I don't want to do this anymore, he's understanding, I want to do this. Do more. Like, don't forget about this. You're saying, forget about this. So you would transform the sentence from the negative construction to the positive, affirmative construction. So, remember, Shante, to get this when you leave. Not, don't forget to get this when you leave. You see? When you say, don't forget, you're saying, forget it. So you say the opposite. This is something you need to really take care. You really need to be very, very careful with building these statements. Last week, I was building a new statement for me for mentalization, and it was hard to build an affirmative construction for the thing, the issue that I need to solve. It took me a while to build a good statement for myself. It took me a while. I needed to be creative. And then I got it. So you need to be aware of this construction, right? So use positive, affirmative phrases construction. What else? This is really, really powerful. There are some universal cliches that it's the common sense. If you build a statement that goes against common sense, you're in trouble. Because the universe, the nature laws are not going to be supportive. You're going to start punching against the wall, your head against the wall. So there are some cliches about it you need to observe. It doesn't mean that it's not going to work, but it's going to be more difficult. So every time you're building something, you need to think, okay, if somebody read this, is this going to be something too selfish? Too me first and screw the rest? Or somehow this is going to be nice. People are going to read this. Okay, he's thinking about himself, but it's nice. It's something Interesting. Oh, adorable. You see? So even though it's for your own, it needs to be, it can be arrogant, it can be aggressive, it needs to be something nice that people read and, okay, very good. Let me try to explain. I want to make a lot of money. I want to be rich and powerful. Somebody else reads this prepotent. Seems like arrogant, aggressive. I want to be rich and I want to contribute to other people's lives. Oh, nicer. You see? So you need to take care about common sense. So your mentalizations are going to be much more powerful because you're going to get the flow of the world egregor. You're going to get the strength of the world egregor, or you're going to go against it. This is important. And then there is the returning process. And you start returning, and then you finish. Totally awake, totally returned, totally. You really need to feel that you totally returned. The last part. This is really important if you go too deep in your relaxation, this last part. You really need to, okay, I finished. For us that we are teaching, we really need to feel that the person is really 100% awake. And if you're doing by your own, you really need to feel that you're 100% awake, not self-hypnotized. Okay? So Yoga Nidra is something really powerful that will definitely help you move from rational state of consciousness to the super consciousness. And and also the Sauchan and the Santosha that we saw today, we studied today, is definitely also going to help you achieve this too. Right? And well, there is still other levels of Yoga Nidra that maybe someday we go through these other levels, but it's not in the program of this course, these other levels of Yoga Nidra. There are other levels. Yeah, but just this, it's amazingly powerful. There are some corporations, large corporations around the world that they teach this kind of stuff. Just this. And this is just one of the tools we have. But just this would be extremely powerful. And this is good to manage as a tool to manage stress, if you really know how to do this. Because too much stress is when your body, your emotions, and your mind are too agitated, too crazy, and you need to slow down. And one of the ways you can efficiently do this is through Yoga Nidra. But it's a training. But some people are so stressed they can't relax during a Yoga Nidra. So they really they need to train more. Well, and as we have a complete system, very comprehensive, holistic system. So when you reach this, this is the seventh part of the practice, right? Seventh anga. So when you reach here, you prepared all your aspects to really enjoy this part, so this part is really effective. And this is the thing that I recommend everybody that is watching this class, that even though beginners class are awesome, swastika intermediate class, they're much more powerful. There's no comparison. No comparison. So I know that sometimes because the schedule is hard and so on, but try coming more to intermediate swastika classes than just for beginners. It works, it's awesome, it's powerful, but swastika is 3-4 times more powerful. Much more powerful. Well, I have been in this more than 10 years. So. Today, I can't see myself practicing a beginner's class, not because it's beginners, because I know that the other one's much more powerful. So what's the point? But if the person can't because of schedule, okay, that's a thing. But if you can, well, no way, no way. So let's finish today. And tomorrow, for you, and well, there's no time for them to watch this before, but tomorrow we have some gourmet here at 12:30. Huh? 12:30 we have gourmet. We're gonna have stroganoff. So if you can, come. Swastika. Welcome back, Shante.